Breaking right now. King Charles and Prince William still believe Meghan Markle is a bigger threat to the royal family than Prince Andrew. A position backed up by a bombshell outspoken poll. I'll reveal the results in just one moment. But first, I think this post on X from Genevieve's sums up the situation facing the British royal family the best. 2 down, 2 to go. Because while there is quite naturally fury at the lack of action over that oaf Prince Andrew, and by the way, just look at this picture of him, one of his last pictures in the public eye, alongside Sophie. And there he is at a royal funeral, guffawing with Fergie doing the same. They never learned. They never learned, and they were given opportunity after opportunity to learn. So while I completely understand the fire and fury being aimed in the direction of the, do we say, former Duke and Duchess of York? I mean, at the end of the day, he's not using his title, but he still does own it. And there is, of course, growing pressure on the king to go to Parliament and demand this legislation in order to go the full hog. But of course, at the same time, Harry and Meghan remain the very living threat. And as I revealed on yesterday's show, William has determined that as King William V, one of his first acts of monarch will be to introduce an act of parliament that will strip them of their princely titles, of their duchess titles. And I think that is absolutely necessary. But can we really wait that long? My sources say there is a growing feeling within Buckingham Palace that Prince William is winning the argument and that Charles may have to take a political stance on that matter. And of course, if it does get before the House of Commons when it comes to Andrew, it would be very, very easy to slip the Sussexes in there as well. Now, there's been a lot of consternation about this briefing from Buckingham Palace, that indeed they still view the Sussexes as the very real threat to the British royal family. So I thought, I want to ask the outspoken audience, because you are the smartest people in the world. We've had over 70,000 votes so far in this poll. So this is a huge, huge result. And the question was simple. Who is the biggest threat to the British royal family? And the results are astonishing. Just 1% say Fergie, 14% say Prince Harry, 38% say Prince Andrew, but 47% say Meghan Markle remains the biggest threat today to the British royal family. Now, we're going to get reaction to all of the news about the crisis engulfing the monarchy with our royal mastermind, Prince Harry's biographer, and Queen Camilla's biographer, Angela Levin, in just one moment. But first, let me take you through this new reporting from Tom Sykes, who says the fall of Prince Andrew is the first great triumph of King William V. He writes, readers of The Royalist, unlike those of the craven British newspapers, will be aware of the central fact informing and underpinning this entire story, that King Charles III is dying. Andrew's separation from his ducal title really goes back to February last year, 2024, when the king broke with every tradition of his dynasty and announced to the world that he had cancer. The palace presented this as a gesture of transparency and bravery. Actual friends of the king, speaking informally, have told me they feared it was unwise, but that he had been forced into disclosure because he had hastily informed the world he was having treatment for a benign prostate. So everyone knew something was wrong, which made disappearing for 6 weeks while they figured out the details an impossibility. William's determination to do something permanent about Andrew when he becomes king can be traced to a single humiliating moment. Balmoral, August 2023. William was ordered to drive Andrew to church. At that moment, Charles hadn't pre-announced his own death. He was the all-powerful monarch who had to be obeyed. So William obeyed. The image, grin-faced hair, behind the wheel, the disgraced Duke beside him, circulated around the world. William's aides briefed furiously afterwards that he had been obliged to do it, that it was not his wish. Those who know William say the episode hardened him. That, said one, was the day he decided he would never be made to do something like that again. But everyone can see the truth. Charles looks exhausted. He has lost alarming weight, and he is still receiving regular radiotherapy and immunotherapy. He spends long stretches at Highgrove and Balmoral in near total rest. Yet in the official narrative, he is merely convalescing, soldiering on. A few discreet lines are inserted, like the one slipped into a Telegraph piece this week. The king, whose cancer diagnosis has given him other pressing priorities, as a form of insurance for when the worst happens. It is not morbid to point this out. The death of a monarch is not a private tragedy. It is the engine that powers every royal drama from Shakespeare to the present day. So when in 2024 Charles announced he had cancer and William was forced to start planning in earnest for his own reign, one of the first decisions he made was that the Andrew problem would be solved, as one source told me at the time, via amputation. Charles will survive longer than was expected in those first fraught few weeks. Still, the energy now flows to William, whose team, young, digital, ruthless, are clearly ready to give the institution the most almighty kick up the behind. This is the pre-succession, one former courtier told me. It's what Charles did to the Queen when he fired her private secretary, Christopher Gite, only now it's being done to him. William, for his part, has no interest in the sentimental family unity that his father prizes. He sees the monarchy as a brand and Andrew and Harry as hugely damaging to it. His view, expressed repeatedly to aides, is that his uncle should never again be in the presence of the monarch. When Andrew attempted to get into a photograph at the Duchess of Kent's funeral in September, which we just saw, William's fury was instant. Those close to him say that sealed Andrew's fate in William's mind. He had to go and renew the campaign with new energy and determination. Intriguingly, the media looks ready to credit William for Andrew's downfall. I'm noting repeated references to his role in reports, and I expect a lot of lobbying from his side on the matter in the next few days and weeks. But William, I'm told, is not finished. When he ascends to the throne, I am told he will issue new letters patent to strip Harry, Andrew, Archie, Lilibet, Eugenie, and Beatrice of their HRH and princely titles. It's a curious but familiar moment. A dying monarch too proud to abdicate, an heir already acting as king, and a family rearranging itself around a slow-motion end. Even those who admire Charles's stoicism admit that the balance of power has changed irrevocably. When the king announced he had cancer, says one palace source, the reins slipped overnight. So the Duke of York is gone. The king, meanwhile, fights his private war with a disease, the type of which the palace still will not name, and below him already, the next sovereign governs in all but title, preparing a kingdom in which there will be no room for weak men or indulgent brothers. In the end, the king's illness explains everything. His haste to announce an innocent prostate procedure made transparency unavoidable. His transparency ushered in the transition, and King Billy demanded a very public sacrifice. Andrew is that sacrifice, the scapegoat offered to prove that William's monarchy still has a backbone, even as the patriarch fades. And of course, we learn that Meghan Markle is furious about this from Montecito, because as the Royal News Network points out, if an act of parliament does strip Prince Andrew of all his titles, then it's game over for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Once you break the dam, it makes extending the move to other royals so much easier. The cosplay royals should be worried. So Angela Levin, a huge amount going on here, but I think the first thing to say is that there seems to be growing consensus that it's not enough for Andrew to simply say, well, I'm not going to use the title. There is growing pressure on King Charles, not just from politicians, but also from his own son, to actually go further, Angela, to have this act of parliament where his title is stripped, where he would not even be able to use the term prince anymore, which of course would overturn a rule that was introduced by King George V. And this would also be hugely worrying for Meghan, Harry, Archie, and Lilibet, who William intends to remove from all royal life as well. What do you make of it all?
Well, what I make is that the comment is extremely harsh, and so it makes everything sound much worse than actually it is. I think that Prince William is actually doing a terrific job. He doesn't want to be king at the moment. He doesn't want to be king until his children are much older. We should all know that. But he wants to help his father to get out of it. And he knows that fathers, grandfathers, actually find it very difficult to make rules against those children. But if you're a brother or you're an uncle, you can do it much more easily. So my view of that is not that he's trying to win things, it's that he's trying to help a lot. And I think that's what he's doing very well.
Because it's
From
the
my
right decision, isn't it, Angela? That is the reality. William knows that it is unpalatable for the British monarchy to keep this disastrous couple in the mix when it comes to Andrew and Fergie, but also to have Harry and Meghan constantly dragging down the brand. Both couples are an issue.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that Harry and Meghan should be cut out. It's very different from Andrew. I mean, I think Andrew, who is having sex with young girls, underage girls, is disgusting, and that's out for that reason. Harry, and especially Meghan, are actually so revolting, trying to find every difficult thing that they can say, arguing, shouting, screaming, and expecting to get lots of money and their children to be able to decide whether they'd like to float in for a few days to see what it's like to be a worker in a royal in Buckingham Palace or not. I mean, this is nonsense. They hate it. They didn't like the royal family. They left 5, 6 years ago now because they hated it all. Okay, go away. The Queen wished them well, but that's not good enough. What they want is to keep on nagging, to keep on making things difficult for anyone who's royal. And that's what they're after. Getting money. And actually, if anybody gets there, he could take over and Meghan can take over and all would be well. But that is absolutely disgusting. They don't deserve to have any attention from the royal family. And the more that they go on and on about it, the harder we must be. Absolutely. The children don't need anything. They're little kids. They don't even know who their grandfather is, or either grandfathers actually, and they don't need to learn how to be royal people. They're not. So let's leave it. Let them have their own lives. Why Meghan wants to do that is purely so that she can tick lines that she's incredibly important and even more wonderful than anybody realizes. But she's an incredibly unpleasant woman with horrible views and determinations that I've never heard of.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the poll. Let's just put those poll results up again once
Absolutely.
more because it's absolutely fascinating. Over 70,000 people. And sure, yes, Andrew is a threat to many, but Meghan Markle the biggest threat. Angela, can I just clarify, though, do you really think that Charles has been strong enough here? I totally understand you have sympathy for him given what he's going through, this cancer battle. But remember, people like you and me have been calling on him to deal with this issue of the titles for years because it was so obvious that it was going to get to this point, not just with Harry and Meghan, but with Andrew and Fergie as well. And the problem is, Angela, his sort of attempt to find some type of reconciliation or forgiveness, I think, has blown up in the face of the British royal family. And now this is a genuine crisis, Angela, a genuine crisis at a time when he doesn't need that because he should be focusing on his health, the poor man.
Yes, but I think if you go back, there was COVID and there was all sorts of other
Hmm.
things that's made things very upside down. And I think he didn't want to be totally unkind. He wanted to keep giving him the chance, which was a mistake. But he wanted to because I'm sure he knew that his mother would have loved him to do that. I mean, he was very, very close to
Well, I
Queen
believe she
Elizabeth.
asked him to. And so I think that's such an important
Well,
point, Angela, which a lot of people have forgotten in all of this.
yeah.
Charles has been trying to do right by his mother, who wanted her eldest son to look after her favourite son. But Angela, people just say, well, circumstances change.
Can I also say that I think he's actually, for the first time in his life, probably really listening to what the doctors are saying, that
Mm,
he should take lots of rest, that he should not actually overdo it. But that way can still do things. And he goes to Scotland because that's where he feels the most, it's very easy for him to relax. Otherwise, he couldn't come out at all. He's not that ill that he couldn't come out at all. And as I have mentioned before, I know two friends who have had cancer now for 4 and 5 years, and they just have, they said they're not going to ever get rid of it, but they can live with it. And they have treatments once a week, once a fortnight, and they can do most things. And he very well may have that. And he wants to do a bit more as being king because he hasn't had much chance because it's been so near.
I know, and he released this statement yesterday, didn't he, during that
Yeah.
visit to the Manchester synagogue, almost begging, Angela, begging the mainstream media to focus on his work. But given the growing crisis, that's quite difficult at the moment. But look, I just wanted to take you through something from Tina Brown on her Substack, Angela, the author of the Palace Papers, because she's written how Virginia Giuffre finally vanquished Prince Andrew. And she's posed this question: how do you disappear a 6 foot tall, 190 pound, 65-year-old man in robust good health who has an ironclad contract to live in the Queen Mother's former mansion a short nave from Windsor Castle and just 4 miles from the new forever home of Prince William and Kate, who can't abide him? In 2019, his mother, Queen Elizabeth, had already reluctantly stripped him of his military honours, his HRH title, and his royal duties. So this time, he lost the cherished title Duke of York, plus a few remaining grand honorifics. Now there is nothing left to deprive him of but his electric toothbrush. Andrew is now not even permitted to come to Sandringham to partake of the family Christmas pudding, and instead faces a Scrooge-like fate of bitter seasonal reflection. At least he will share it with his loyal ex-wife, the erstwhile Duchess Sarah Ferguson, who arguably took an even bigger hit, losing all her charities and rising social acceptance. Her demotion followed the release of an email calling Epstein her steadfast, generous, and supreme friend, after she publicly denounced him with pious protestations of abhorring paedophilia. On Friday, the Times reported that Andrew will not be invited to William's coronation whenever that occurs. The thornier question, perhaps approaching faster than anyone is indelicate enough to discuss, is whether in the fullness of time, Andrew will be allowed to attend his brother the king's funeral. Goodness me,
Well,
Angela, what do you make of that?
Well, I'll just make it and say, well, we don't know when everyone's going to die. We don't know when he's going to die. So let's worry about that when he dies and see where everybody is and what's happening. I think it's awful to sort of plan what you're going to do over someone being, dead. I think actually as well with Sarah, I don't feel sorry for her at all. I don't think she's good at all. I mean, in one, what, in the book that Virginia Griffra has written, she said that Meghan, not Meg, sorry, she said that she came down to meet with Jeffrey Epstein when he came out of prison after having behaved very, very badly with young girls. And she asked the two girls to come with her. Beatrice was 20, Eugenie was 19, and they went to have a lovely party and evening with him. I I'm absolutely astonished. How can you take your children down to meet somebody in America who has been absolutely disgusting with young girls the same age as your children and think that's the right thing to do? So, I mean, I've washed her out, actually, as far as I'm concerned. You run for miles to keep away from somebody like that.
Yeah, and she also took her two daughters to a P. Diddy
Yes,
party, Angela. One of those white parties on a yacht, whatever they're called, which, so she's hardly been the greatest mother. I mean, it was quite ironic, the fact that earlier this year, on her old ex account, Angela Sarah the Duchess, which she's now had to change the name of because, of course, she's no longer a Duchess, she had the cheek to post social media as a toxic tidal wave, and I'm concerned that not enough is being done to protect our children. I mean, Angela, surely the first thing you do if you care about protecting children is not beg to take money from one of the world's most prolific paedophiles who, as you say, you're introducing your daughters to. So I think absolutely the days where Andrew and Fergie could lecture us are gone. But of course, the point the point Tina Brown is making is that they remain young, and what the hell is going to be done with them? And we've seen from Harry and Meghan, Angela, that it's not enough to just accept at face value, oh, we're not going to use the titles. I mean, Meghan to this day, Angela, is referring to herself and all of her tacky specials as the Duchess of Sussex, and privately still sending letters where she uses her HRH titles. So unfortunately, it's not enough. It's not enough. And the British royal family is becoming a bit of a laughing stock. And I think William knows that. And so I do think something more is going to have to be done.
Yes, I'm sure. I mean, you have to get them out. They need to go to another country. There's no point sulking
Exile.
there. They've got to get out of Windsor Castle and Windsor Gardens and anything that's around there because he doesn't want to look at everybody, what they're doing, what they're not doing. Go away, the other side of the world, do what you want and enjoy yourself. Anything that they want to do. I'm sure they'll go together. But I think that's what you do. You just start a new life. That's what the Queen hoped that Harry and Meghan would do. They would go and have a happy new life. But Meghan won't take that because she didn't win. And she's going to stay there and she's going to stay there until she thinks she's won the battle. But we must stop that. We can't bear it. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's just too appalling for words to
Well,
try and
indeed.
get involved.
And what we need, Angela, what we need is for the royal family to realise this is a moment to sort it all out,
Yes.
in one act of parliament. Okay, so it's all done. It could be done quickly, Angela. You just take the princely titles away. You take the Duchess titles away. It's all done in one go. And then you don't have the issue of Archie and Lily at all. And it's plain and simple. Harry Windsor, Meghan Markle, Andrew Windsor, and Sarah Ferguson, done. Just do it. Do it in one go, Charles. It really, really will help everyone. I do have to ask you, Angela, though, about this latest drive by Meghan Markle to make a whole load of money. What was interesting is that this was reported by Charlotte Griffiths in the Mail on Sunday, who we know has the inside track on what Meghan is planning. And they ask, will Meghan Markle join the Billionaires Club? She says she wants to leverage her significant influence to build a powerhouse business empire. Now, Meghan said to be planning a range of lucrative makeup products to boost the fortunes of As Ever. It's a gamble that has more than paid off for celebrities such as the US singer Selena Gomez, who is now a billionaire. Rumours of the Duchess of Sussex's ventures spread after she posted 2 clips on Instagram showing her applying lipstick with the brand name obscured. It's a telltale sign she may be gearing up to promote her own range. One source told the Mail on Sunday on her Instagram reel, the makeup lined up on her dressing table was unbranded or had the brand labels obscured, which felt deliberate. That's a telltale sign Meghan has something in the pipeline. The fact she didn't want to promote or reveal any other brand is a big clue that she's gearing up to promote her own range. Eventually, it is a sign for industry insiders. but it's unclear how much profit the business is making at the moment, of course. A source said Meghan's cookery never really took off, but it has at least launched her as a lifestyle influencer. The word in New York is that her eye is already onto the next big thing, and that's why she met Vogue editor Chloe Marley during her trip to the city. What makes big money, like really big money? Makeup, of course. She could make a lot more money in beauty than selling pots of jam. The source added that makeup is largely about high-end packaging. The product itself is quite cheap to produce, so the markups are huge and there's potential to make big numbers on sales. Meghan clearly has a flair for packaging, so it would be a natural progression. Then, of course, Angela, you get to the issue of Daniel Martin, okay, who was her until now gay BFF and makeup artist constantly by her side. Well, Meghan was furious with him, Angela, forced him to take down the video that he had posted of her makeup, and now has leaked a news story. I find all of this so hilarious because it's so transparent.
It is.
Because she's leaked this news story. Look at this, Angela. Meghan Markle did all her own makeup for NYC appearances. Here's exactly what she used to get her glow. So the clear message there is, Angela, I'm going to throw my gay BFF Daniel Martin under the bus because I am launching my own makeup range and I'm so brilliant that I can do this all on my own.
How many times have we heard this about making jam, making any sort of food? She just does think that she's so important that she can do everything without anyone. And poor old Daniel Martin, who's looked after her so beautifully. And actually, he said that he gave her face a sort of glow. And then she said she did it herself. And she said it was outrageous that he dares say that. Very funny, really. I mean, she just is awful. She treats everybody incredibly badly.
But serves him right because he should have known. He should have known eventually that she was going to come for him too, because he's been there as she's treated everyone else like a piece of dirt.
Yes. But the other thing is that we should know by now that she's a failure with everything. She tries hard, she pushes everyone out the way because she won't listen to what any advice is given to her. And she thinks she can do it all. Apparently, she runs her image like a luxury brand. There we are. So she thinks that her image is absolutely amazing. She does. She thinks
Whereas
she's
we view it
wonderful.
as Timu.
And that's it. And she's not going to make a great deal with makeup because she doesn't listen and she won't do it properly. And she'll be worrying about putting the paper wrapping around it more than actually making sure that it's a good thing to have. It'll cost a lot of money, but people won't buy it. People don't like her anymore. People don't want to buy things from anymore. They don't trust her anymore. All that has gone. I mean, she's got her PR people who are pretending she's wonderful and everybody thinks she's just, amazing woman. She is an amazing woman, but in a negative way.
That is quite true. One way of putting it, an amazing woman in a terrible way. Angela Levin, absolutely great stuff. Do stand by though, because we're moving over to Substack, www.outspoken.live. Meghan Markle is making a shock new dig at the British royal family that she is saving for her bombshell book.
Prince Andrew has ceased using his Duke of York title and stepped away from his role within the Order of the Garter following renewed scrutiny surrounding the Epstein scandal. The disgraced royal now faces growing pressure over his residence at the Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park, with calls for the property to be taken from him after reports suggested he had avoided making annual payments for years. According to royal commentators, King Charles and Prince William are believed to share the same determination to distance the monarchy from Andrew's lingering controversies. Royal expert Phil Dampier suggested that William, who once displayed visible frustration when Andrew approached him during the Duchess of Kent's funeral, supports a firmer approach toward his uncle. Behind the scenes, the Prince of Wales is said to view Andrew's behaviour as severely damaging to the monarchy's image and hopes the matter can be resolved decisively before he eventually ascends the throne. Beyond the reputational harm, there are concerns that Andrew's proximity could bring further disruption to the Wales family. His Royal Lodge estate is located only a short distance from William and Catherine's home, and protests have reportedly taken place outside Andrew's residence, with demonstrators demanding his eviction. Dampier described the situation as chaotic and said the prince would prefer to see the issue resolved once and for all. Despite mounting pressure, Andrew cannot legally be removed from the property until the year 2078 due to what has been described as an ironclad lease agreement. While both the King and the Prince of Wales are keen to move forward, they may be unable to enforce his departure. At 65 years old, the former Duke of York initially resisted relinquishing his titles amid the unfolding scandal, only doing so when the King insisted. Andrew has continued to deny allegations made by Virginia Giuffre and stepped back from public duties only after being formally directed to do so. Phil Dampier remarked that it is time for Andrew to accept his situation and begin a new chapter elsewhere, possibly abroad. He noted that Andrew owns a large residence in Abu Dhabi, gifted to him many years ago but never fully used, suggesting that relocating there might be the best option for everyone involved, similar to King Juan Carlos of Spain, who went into exile there. Andrew continues to share the royal lodge with his former wife, Sarah Ferguson, while their daughters, Princess Beatrice, aged 37, and Princess Eugenie, aged 35, frequently visit. Leaving the property would also mean displacing his ex-wife, adding emotional strain to an already difficult situation. Dampier noted that both Andrew and Sarah are deeply troubled by their circumstances, describing them as mentally and emotionally exhausted. The royal commentator criticised Andrew's apparent lack of empathy and dignity, saying that even after his infamous interview with journalist Emily Maitlis, he failed to demonstrate genuine sympathy for the victims involved in the Epstein case. It is not only the King and Prince William who reportedly want Andrew distanced from royal life. Princess Catherine is also believed to support her husband's efforts, though her focus has remained on her health and caring for their children. Dampier stated that the Princess of Wales largely defers to William's decisions and shares his desire to see the scandal resolved swiftly. As William stands next in line to the throne, both he and Catherine are eager to ensure that no lingering controversies overshadow their future reign. With Virginia Giuffre's new book, reviving public attention on Andrew's past, the royal couple's patience has likely reached its limit. Living so close to the Royal Lodge has become an uncomfortable reminder of the ongoing issue, and they wish to see it settled once and for all, while King Charles remains on the throne.